What's good everyone, Spud here and welcome to a brand new Telltale The Walking Dead video. And in today's video, we're talking Michonne miniseries. We're talking about my favourite character from Michonne miniseries. We're talking Sam Fairbanks. I'm going to be doing a video today on why Sam Fairbanks is a very good character in the Walking Dead franchise. And I'll kind of explain why she's my fourth favourite in the entire franchise as well. Obviously, if you didn't know that, we did do a top 10 Walking Dead characters video, which I can put in the description. And we did it months ago, but I'll put it in the description. Um, And yeah, I'm just going to be briefly going to talk about Sam and yeah, ultimately giving my reasons as to why I think she's a very good character because she has that realistic aspect of a person that in an apocalypse, but she also has that adaptation to change late on, and that is why ultimately she's a very good character and she does not deserve the criticism and hate she gets on Reddit and whatever stuff like that. I see people that hate Sam Fairbanks. I'm not having it. I am not having it. If you do enjoy this video though, please do drop a like, it is free. And subscribe to the channel if you're new, it is really helps me out. Um, and yeah, let's just get straight into it, I guess, because we've got a lot to talk about here. So, we meet Sam in episode 1 on the mob jack, and she seems like a very unstable person. She pulls a gun on Michonne and Pete when they're trying to look for survivors. She's actually 22 years old, which is kind of crazy when you look at Sam because most people would assume that she's 16, 17 years old, not 22. So it's kind of crazy that she's 22. She's kind of portrayed as a bit of a younger character than that. So I would say for her age, she's definitely immature. But obviously, the apocalypse isn't new during this game. It's set like obviously after the walkers have all started and everything like that. So they end up getting captured, obviously, by Randall's crew. Once they arrive at Monroe, they obviously meet Norma again. She's obviously scared because she's got bad history with Norma. She kind of has that like childish aspect to her at the time. And then obviously she sees Greg get shot by Zachary when Zachary goes in front of her because Zachary's going to shoot Sam. Then you have the option to stop Sam shooting Zachary or she kills Zachary. If you obviously choose to shoot Zachary to like let her do it, Uh, Sam does regret killing him at the time, and then she also helps Michonne gag Jonas because obviously Jonas, who's um the partner of Zachary, is obviously going to start shouting and screaming. Um, and she's obviously got that regret. Um, and you can kind of tell she didn't. It was just like the instincts. Um, but like she's a character that would definitely blame other people if she could. But she does end up jumping Norma. Obviously, she has a one-on-one fight with Norma or Randall. Michonne takes the other one. Um, on top of the main boat in Monroe. They then obviously escape Monroe after that with Pete potentially. That's obviously determined. Um, obviously then they escape Monroe with walkers everywhere. First of all, Michonne helps Sam because Sam's going to get shot because she just stood there. Again, this kind of has that feeling that, you know, realistic. She's just stood there because she's in shock, but she's got to move. This is the reality. Um, obviously there's walkers everywhere. She follows Michonne's orders, and Michonne manages to get two walkers, which almost like dogs on a leash, to get them through the herd. Which obviously Sam at this moment in time is really amazed because she didn't think it would work. And again, realistic traits. She thought something which is absolutely crazy like that would never work. And I wouldn't say that this is exactly like a a thing that like Sam's, you know, not a good survivor because she didn't know that. Let's be honest, not many people would have known that would work, but obviously did. Then she says that there's a shortcut that they won't like to her house. So then we see what the shortcut is, and it's like this really old, rusty building structure thing. I don't actually know what it is. Um, So they start to climb that. Obviously, Michonne has a few issues with it. But like if you actually look at Sam's character, like how the character's like, she doesn't look 22 years old. Like I remember when I found that out, like months and months after I played the game, and to find out she was 22 really shocked me. Like honestly, it shocked me. Um, so they climb this rusty structure, and they're doing pretty well. Um, but then unfortunately, obviously Randall and Co manage to get there, and they start shooting from down below, and then Sam gets shot around the shoulder area, just past the shoulder. And yeah, they manage to jump to safety, but obviously Sam's been shot, which is obviously not good. So they end up trying to walk to the house because obviously Randall and um the other people from Monroe, they're not going to be able to get there as quickly because that was a huge shortcut. Um, and obviously they don't know where this house is as well. But we get to know a bit more about Sam when this walking's happening, and I think this is quite good that we get to see this because we do find out stuff about her, and she explains, how she met Norma for the first time, and you know that Norma spared her life for stealing from her the first time, but then she decided to do it again because she was desperate. Um, and like she had advice from Greg, and she didn't listen to her brother, and now obviously her brother's dead, and she's been shot, and she should have just listened. Obviously, the dad doesn't. Sam's kind of the person in the family that has to get the supplies, and obviously at this time it's Paige, Greg, Sam, Alex and James, who are the two youngest kids, and obviously John, the dad. So there's obviously a lot of people that she's got to try and get supplies for, but again, she's looking at the wrong places to get them. And then she starts to obviously feel a bit more faint because obviously the bullet is still stuck in her. Um, they tried to keep a conversation going, but she knows that if she'd listened to her brother, her brother might still be here now. But obviously we get to find out a bit about her dad, which obviously can come into play, that we kind of know what to expect from the dad when we meet him. Um, but she's just thinking at this moment in time about her family and her brothers and what they're going to think about Greg rather than herself. Because obviously she comes across quite selfish in episode one. Um, but she does seek advice from Michonne during this game, and I think this is another reason that I like Sam Fairbanks, because she has that character development. Because realistically, Gabe Garcia, who's definitely someone we're going to talk about, doesn't really listen to advice. Sarah never asked for any advice in season two. Um, Ben was pretty hopeless in season one. Tennessee was absolutely hopeless in the final season. So in every single game, there has been this realistic character. But for me, Sam is a clear step better than the rest of them. Um, but she wants to know what she should say, what should she tell her dad about Greg? Because obviously she doesn't want, she knows that it's going to destroy him, and the kids, but she doesn't know how to say it, or should she say something that didn't happen, or what, basically. Um, but then unfortunately, Sam eventually can't carry on walking, and she does faint. Which then obviously makes it a bit more difficult to get there. And then they finally get to the house, and Paige, who is Sam's partner, even though it's not really made, like, they don't really make it obvious, but they are. Obviously, she sees that Michonne and Peach, she's never met them, and they've got obviously Sam on their shoulders. They're worried that they might be killing her and then kill the rest of the people. So you kind of have to, even though there's walkers behind, you have to honestly try and tell them the right thing to do, and that's how did they wouldn't have found the place without Sam telling them and stuff like that. So they arrive at the house, and obviously they're trying to get Sam onto a table. The kids don't know what's really happening. They ask if there's a first aid kit, and then they have to obviously operate. So it's Paige has to help with Michonne. James holds down Sam as well, and obviously Sam's screaming in pain. The lucky thing here is that there's a house, so there isn't walkers because there's a gate as well, so the walkers can't get in. But obviously it will attract noise, and Pete's having to hold her as well because they have to open the wound. And look, regardless of who they are, it's going to absolutely kill. It doesn't matter who you are, doing what they're doing is going to absolutely kill. She has to get the she has to use pliers in Sam to get the bullet out, which is already as it is really tough. But then it gets even worse when Michonne knows that the wound has to be sealed because it's obviously his raw flesh, and she sees a hot poker, which she's like, right, we're gonna have to use that, and obviously Paige knows that it's probably gonna kill Sam, not like actually kill her, but it's gonna kill, and Michonne says it's gonna really fucking hurt in front of the two kids as well. They're so scared. Um, you know, they have to hold her down because she's going to be screaming. It's going to be like one of the worst pains you could probably ever imagine. That's like 100 odd degrees, probably more burning into your flesh. And they're almost finished, and then just as they're about to finish, obviously, her dad comes in thinking like, what the hell are they doing to her and stuff like that, and he's obviously really questionable. He seems like a person that um just wants the best for his kids, but he'll question everything. He seems like a quite stubborn person, but then he does decide to help Michonne because he realizes that, this is really important and is saving his daughter's life. But enough about him because this is all about Sam. She obviously faints because of this, but thankfully she obviously makes it. Um, but then she starts to hallucinate about Greg before waking up. She's clearly still in shock about what's happened. Um, And I think this is just again a realistic trait. People think that you can just forget about stuff like this when you're in an apocalyptic world, but you can't. You're obviously everything will come back to haunt you ultimately, and you've got to feel sorry for her at this point, even if you don't like her as a character. But because it's grief. Everyone goes through grief. I know people deal with grief in different ways, but she has to just lie down. She has to rest ultimately. But it's funny because obviously Paige there says that she used to pick on her when they first met each other. Um, and that is kind of Sam, that immature person, She doesn't like too many people. That is just Sam overall, basically. But um, this is just how she is. But she has to obviously change her ways. And it is tough. You have to get through to her. But then she realizes that she needs to change. And I do think that obviously this is a really important part of, you know, surviving. Um, but then obviously when Randall's tied up, James and Sam come in, and obviously Randall tells them that they're dead, and Sam's at first just like, what? Like she's just like confused, and then obviously Randall's basically saying that that their dad's been shot by him, and obviously Sam and James are hysterical, and it's she's obviously at first she's hoping that it's not real, but Michonne has to tell her the bad news, and obviously Sam has lost her mum in a year, her dad and Greg, and it's obviously really bad. And then Sam's obviously, regardless if you choose to kill Randall or not, not Randall, sorry, Zachary, she wants him dead. Of course, that's pretty, especially in an apocalyptic world, that's probably a justifiable response. She says that because obviously now she's an orphan, she's the oldest of the Fairbanks that are left. She doesn't trust Norma either, so she wants Randall to die for it. She vows to kill him even if Michonne won't, but even if Michonne doesn't kill him with the wrench, she still won't kill him. But then obviously, if you do kill him, she sees a dead Randall, and she wishes that she'd done it before going on a bit of a rage, to be honest. With Paige, and obviously Paige, stuck by her, but Paige Paige thinks that they should leave the house because obviously Norma and that are coming, and it gives them chance to escape. However, um, Sam obviously being still, even though this is episode 3, she's still stubborn. Um, she will not leave. She refuses to leave the house. Because she doesn't know where to go, and obviously it's where her family's lived, and her mum and dad are there, even though they're dead. Um, and I do think that this character development that I talk about, Sam, like, I think she goes a bit on and off like a seesaw ultimately. So she's like bad in episode 1 for a bit, then she's good. Bad in episode 2 for a bit, and then she's good. Bad in episode 3, in like, not bad, like, because I think she's a great character throughout the entire game, but like, you know, like bossy and immature and stuff like that. But um, I do think that towards the end of the game, after the interrogation and everything, she saves the brothers, she saves Michonne, which we'll talk about shortly. She's obviously changed as a character because she knows she can't keep living the way that she wants to because no one will survive. Um, Obviously she wants, like I said, she wants to stay. She's refusing to leave, and she wants her dad to be at least buried before anything else happens. Um, so she tries to end up burying the dad with one working arm. Um, which obviously causes her injury because it's obviously she's just been shot. She's just been operated on, and not in a good way either. And yeah, it's obviously was never going to work on her own. But I think this is quite an interesting choice because maybe it depends on your choices onto how Sam Fairbanks is as a character. But I think that I do think that the right decision is definitely to help her here. Um, because it's just a good thing to do, yeah. And it also does take less time because they don't really have time. Um, they don't have time ultimately because Norman's coming, so it gives them less time. But yeah, Michonne helps her, and yeah, Sam's really grateful. She says like thank you and everything like this, and this is where I think Sam starts to turn into the character that I like, the Sam Fairbanks I know, making out like actually no fictional character. Um, But yeah, ultimately she would have died, I think, if I mean she can die, obviously in episode 5. She's a determined character. Episode 3, sorry, she's a determined character. Um, but she knows she now has to step up for her brothers, especially because they're a lot younger. Greg's gone, her dad's gone. She can't do it all on her own. She has to be careful about what she does because the two brothers have zero chance of surviving without Sam, because obviously Sam is still a woman. Um, you know, like, you have to feel sorry for her, but again, she was stubborn in this instinct. But I don't think it was she was stubborn when she said she's not leaving the house. Burying her dad, there's nothing stubborn about being that. Um, which is kind of crazy, really. But when it comes to the hostage situation, Sam obviously has to hold on to Randall, who's obviously a walker, but he's got a bag on his head and his hands are tied, so she can't get bit. Uh, which is obviously a good thing. She clearly doesn't trust Norma in this situation because she's seen the worst of Norma, and obviously you can't trust someone when they've bashed Randall in as well, just like they have. But she does trust Michonne, and she clearly makes that she can start to trust people a bit more. Um, and I think that's something that she had to do ultimately. Otherwise, like Sarah, she was never going to make it. Like Ben, she was never going to make it. Well, no, Ben trusted people, but he trusted the wrong people. Like he trusted bandits and stuff like that. So I think that Sam, she's definitely realizing this stuff. And obviously, as we say, she owes him for saving her life. Obviously, if you choose to stay with the daughters at the last choice of episode 3, Sam will die in the house fire. Um, which is actually a real shame. But I would never choose that choice because it's ridiculous. Um, but yeah, obviously the negotiation starts to go a bit wrong, and obviously Berto dies. Randall's obviously dead, as we knew, but um, she does shoot Norma in the arm because Norma is about to kill one of the crew members. Um, so she did well there because obviously she saved someone's life. Could it have been Michonne's life potentially? Yeah. Um, but I quite like the hostage situation. Look, I think Michonne's a really good game. Like, I argue it could be maybe better than season 2. I think Clementine and Kenny kind of carry season 2, and Luke. But yeah, the whole situation is kind of crazy. And then obviously they have a fight in the house, outside the house, and then obviously a couple of the Monroe lot decide to set the house on fire. And then obviously they have to get out, and obviously Sam has to go in and save Alex and James because they're obviously locked up upstairs, so they're not involved in the negotiation stuff with Norma. So Sam saves their lives, and then obviously saves Michonne's life. There you go, that was Sam there. Um, but yeah, the whole situation definitely could have been avoided. But yeah, as we say, Sam here, obviously, I think like 90 odd percent of players would choose to leave the daughters because they're not there, they're dead. We assume they're dead. So Sam survives. She saves Michonne by grabbing her out. But obviously, she grabs her out even if you decide to stay with them. But there's not enough time, and obviously Sam ends up dying because of it, unfortunately. But then obviously the house is destroyed, and Sam knows that she can't stay there now. And yeah, she's obviously got to leave. Um, Michonne and Pete, uh, obviously drop Sam, Paige, and the two kids off to a nearby town who are accepting survivors. But this does show the character development of Sam Fairbanks because she risks her life for Michonne just like Michonne did for Sam, ultimately. Um, but yeah, this is why she's a very good character in my opinion because she's now turned into a protector. Obviously, she's 22. She has to. She now will protect James and Alex with Paige. Compared to other realistic characters in the franchise, I truly believe that Sam is the only character that shows major change out of the realistic characters. So that is Ben. Uh, the characters are Ben. Who's the season 2 realistic character? Oh, Sarah, Gabe Garcia, and Tennessee. I think with Sam, I mean, you could argue maybe Gabe Garcia in A New Frontier, but it depends if he obviously dies at the end of A New Frontier. He does kind of have a bit of character development, but I think he's kind of a similar character for the entire game. I wouldn't really argue he has much development. I think Sam adapts because now she knows she has to protect the kids, even though she doesn't really want to. She knows she has to, and she also has less time to do this adaptation because you got to remember that it's like 1 to 2 days from the start of the Michonne game to the end, whereas obviously these other characters might have a bit longer. So you've got to remember that as well. But this is why she's my fourth favourite character in the franchise, and obviously my favourite character in Michonne, by far. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this. I know it's been a bit of a deep dive into Sam Fairbanks on the Walking Dead, Telltale The Walking Dead Michonne miniseries. I hope you've enjoyed. Let me know what your thoughts are on Sam Fairbanks. Obviously, probably not as high up as me, but I think she's a very good character because she has the realistic aspects, but she can also adapt in very short circumstances, even though she doesn't want to. But make sure to like the video, it really helps me out. And yeah, we'll do more Walking Dead, in a week or two. So bye for now.